been a really long day, or it feels like it has anyway. We had a completion date for our house of when we need to be out of our house. And it's just brought everything into reality, I suppose. The fact that we're leaving our house, it's a house that we have loved and really enjoyed, and it has so many memories. It's where I brought my children home from the hospital as babies. It's where, they had their baby years, their toddler years, and just a really special place, a place where I felt very safe, and I think they felt very safe as well. I told my eldest, Reuben, that we had about 5 weeks until we needed to be out of the house, and yeah, he was heartbroken. He was crying. He went to school. When he came out of school, his teacher said, "Oh, so you've got 5 weeks left," and he apparently had been telling all his friends that he was leaving in 5 weeks. And I just felt really heartbroken for him, and just really sad. And even when we got home, he was just like, I don't want to leave our house. I don't want to leave the people and the things that we do here. I think it's hard because we don't know where we're going yet. We have 5 weeks until we need to be out, but we have no idea where we're going to, going to live, going to into rental. We really don't know. We feel very ungrounded at the moment, and just to, feel his heartbreak today. And again, he was crying when he got home from school. It makes me wonder, are we doing the right thing? And how important is my temple, or our temple, compared to uprooting my children and causing them such heartache. Sophie is not so, she's quite up for it. She's 4, and she would be going to a new school in September, so she's kind of completing a cycle, and so for her, I don't think it feels so big. It's just an exciting adventure. But for Reuben, it's just a lot harder. And it's making me wonder, whether I'm doing the right thing. And just been feeling so sad the last few days about leaving. And it's not even though I feel a great connection to this area, or even the people in this area. And when we bought the house, we knew it wasn't our forever house. I don't know why, it just feels sad. I think it feels like an end of a cycle, and we're moving from a safe space to an unknown space where we have no idea where we're going. I'm wondering, is the temple that important, or are my children more important? I feel like the move, we're trying to make a better life for ourselves as a family. But yes, I'm wondering now. And we've had guidance along the way. I feel like we have been guided to this place. So it feels a bit like we're just about to jump off the edge. And we don't know where we're going or what we're doing. So yes, I suppose trust is needed, but it feels quite bleak and quite dark and slightly lost right now. But I suppose that's what we need to move through. And I need to think of ways to support Reuben to move through this in a way that serves him and us. One thing that I mentioned in earlier videos is I was meditating and I had this vision of Reuben. He's currently 6, but of him as like a 18, 19-year-old man, and sitting right next to me. And it was very strange to see him of that age. And he was just really full of love and confidence and grounded. And he said to me, he calls me Mama. So, Mama, thank you. Thank you for moving to Pembrokeshire because it changed my life. And that was all he said. And it got me really emotional then when I received that message. But it's kind of, I think without that, I would be really, really questioning everything. If we were doing the right thing, taking him out of school, taking him away from his friends, taking him away from the area that he knows and loves. But I suppose that vision is kind of giving me hope and helping me trust that we are doing the right thing. So I'm holding on to that vision. And and that's where we are right now. So, yes. So it's a week later since we put in the offer on the land that we visited twice, and it's been an eventful week. There has, as you've seen, there's been a lot of sadness about leaving. And there's been a lot of stress about the land as well, mainly because we put our offer in and then we didn't hear anything. And it was only us calling the estate agent, and then a few days later, and they told us that there is someone else who's looking at the land and has offered the same as we have. And then we waited and we waited, and every day I was saying to Nick, do you think this is the day we're going to hear something? And and then we phoned again, and we found out there was actually a third party looking at the land, and that they were going back at the weekend for a second viewing. And we were told to just wait, and so we continued to wait. And the weekend was quite. We had to cancel everything we were doing and just stay at home with the children and just rest, because we needed time to process things. I also developed a cold, and it felt like everything was just going from my heart to my throat to my nose to my head. And it just, we needed some space. It kind of got too much for us. I think because I naively thought that we would offer, they might say that's not enough money, then we would offer a little bit more, and then it would be ours, because we were guided there. It felt very much like we were guided to that land. So then we had, after the weekend, I've just finished the Bliss Experience, which is something that I run twice a year, and it's where a group of people gather on Zoom and I channel the celestial white beings, and it's all about creating, cultivating, accessing bliss in your being. And it's kind of the foundation of the Omna Sanctuary, because the Omna Sanctuary is a pathway to bliss. So it's, if it's always such an amazing experience, and the people that join are just phenomenal. It's really beautiful. So at the end of the Bliss Experience, people asked me, how's it going with the temple? And I started to explain, and people were saying, we can feel the energies there, they need grounding. And a lovely lady called Barbara actually started to kind of ground energies, and she was doing all this energetic work, which was just amazing. So thank you, Barbara, because we needed it. We needed something. There was some confusion, there was some complications. It just wasn't flowing. And it was actually Barbara who said, to sit down with Nick and to ground the energies. So we did that evening. Nick and I sat on the sofa, and he, as soon as I said it to him, he was like, yes, I can see it, I can feel it. So he actually started to do it, and I was like, hey, wait for me, I want to join in. And he's like, oh, okay. So then he was like saying what he was doing out loud, and as he was doing that, I was there. We were both there on the land, energetically. We were doing it. I could feel it. It was like all these, like energy. It was like a clock, the mechanism of a clock, and white energy. And it was coming down and like clicking into place, and click, 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 as it was coming down and into the land. And just remembering, before that one night, I spent the whole night anchoring these 12 massive house-sized crystals, white quartz crystals, into the land. And they were going in point first, in a circle in the land. So we were grounding this energy, and as Nick was like talking us through the grounding and what was happening, I had this energy with me, and it was the ancient elders. And I don't know if you've seen a previous video, but when I was on the land, they came to me then, and they were really agitated, and they were like, come on, we want to speak. And so I said to Nick, look, when you're finished, let me know, and I need to say something. And they just came through, and they were like, why haven't you claimed the land? And Nick was kind of like, well, we can't, because, there's the owner's not even responding to us. We've not even had, any kind of coming back from our offer. And they were just like, why haven't you claimed the land? And he was like, well, I don't think we can, because it's, it's not our land. and they wanted us to claim it, and to say, yes, okay, we will claim this land. We will give our hearts to this land, because we were kind of holding our hearts back, and because we didn't want to get hurt. If you give your heart to like a person or the land, and then they reject you, it's heartbreak, and we just couldn't face it. So we ended up giving our selves to the land, claiming it as ours. And they said that when we have the land, Nick has this copper rod wand that my father actually made for him before we got married, and that was to go into the center of the land, to be put into the center of the land. And they described how they had, they were like ancient, this ancient energy, mystical, like old skills and abilities, almost like wizards that could shapeshift, and they're like chameleons where they could stand against a tree and they would just become the tree, kind of like you wouldn't see them. And they were like wizards, almost like Merlin, walking about in the forest. And they also spoke of being very interested in our children, and that they were almost their future, and that they felt that our children were quite closed spiritually, which I can agree as well, because I've always had trouble in sharing with them what I do and how, without kind of putting too much on them. It's been hard. We do a little bit of meditation, a little bit of yoga, but I've just found that really hard to kind of integrate them into kind of the spiritual, I suppose, my spiritual life. And so, they said that, our children are closed and they needed to be in nature and that the ancient elders would open up their systems and support them and give them knowledge that they could carry on into other generations, about how to work with the land and, the spiritual planes and all this. And they said, because my children have had quite difficulty with making friends. They always seem really, so my children are always really up for making friends, really friendly. And, whereas when they choose someone to make friends with, they're kind of indifferent, and they're like, well, I'm not that bothered. I might just go off with someone else. And so they're often a bit heartbroken. And these ancient elders said that, their light is just so bright, even though they're shining at like 2% of what they can. And even children who are, very, very filled with light anyway, are finding it difficult to connect with them. And that by, sorry, I've got itchy eye, by moving to the land, we would be able to work on that and find people that they could really connect with and be themselves with. So there was a lot of information given, and in my mind, even while I was channeling, I was like, but we're anchoring all this into the land. What if we don't get it? Will we have to take it all back? And because we're kind of putting our stamp energetically on this land. So we did that. It was great. We felt good. And the next morning, I think I was talking to my dad, and it just came about that like maybe we needed to take more action. Maybe we needed to actually put in like our best offer and say, if that is what we should do, we should just put in our best offer and say, if you accept this offer, then take it off the market, kind of thing. That's not the right wording, sorry. But so I then contacted Nick, and it started this kind of momentum, and he was trying to phone the estate agent. They weren't answering. I was trying to phone the estate agent. They weren't answering. In the end, he got in contact with them, and he said that the third party at that moment were actually in conversation with the owners on the land. And we were like, oh no, they could be arranging a deal, and it was like, oh no, are we losing it? And So they also said like they've never had, they really didn't expect this from the owners, that they would just drag it out for so long. And they really thought they were up for selling and that it would be done really quickly. And so we we decided to put in that higher offer. And fair play to Nick, he kept us grounded because I was just like throwing money at it, and he was there going, but we don't have that money. What are we gonna do? So we grounded it back down, so it was more achievable. Still a lot more than what we wanted to pay, and what we actually have. And so we made the offer, and that was yesterday evening or afternoon. And then I felt really indifferent. He messaged me saying, "Oh, I've made the offer," and I was like, "Okay, yeah." And I just didn't think about it for the rest of the day. And then at bedtime, I was like, I don't really care, I'm feeling like whether we get it or not, I don't care. I'm happy to walk away now, actually, and find somewhere else that's better for us. And yeah, so that's where we are. So today is the day that either, because we've said like we need to know by today, either they're going to say yes or no. So that's where we are, really. And we're going to have to wait and see. Anyway, fingers crossed, I think. And yes, we'll speak soon again. Bye.